Hello, Pat Lennox.
Hi, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, and congratulations on being awarded the 2021 David Inhaber Distinguished Facilitator Award from the CPA Western School of Business.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to receive the award.
What advice would you have for junior or aspiring accounting educators?
So, as far as I kind of think of the junior educators going back to when I was one of the biggest things that I didn't figure out until after my first module I facilitated was make sure you're very organized. Went into my first module not super organized. It went okay. Didn't go as well as they go now. So having some kind of tracking sheet that works for you is so impactful. Since I like building models and stuff like that, mine is probably a little bit overbuilt, but it works for me. And then that kind of dovetails into really approaching it as like I treat CPAWSB School of Business as if they're one of my clients. Treat it like that rather than just a chore or a little side gig. It's another client, and then serve your client in a way that makes you feel proud of the job you're doing. The other really big one that I like to do and I think is really valuable is when I am facilitating and communicating with my candidates, particularly in Capstone 1, when I get to talk to them face to face in Zoom calls, drawing on real world experience and relating questions or issues that they're encountering to things that I'm encountering day to day. I think it helps establish a stronger link for the value of that coursework they're going through. And it's amazing how quickly things come top of mind, particularly with group work projects like Capstone 1. So I always try to pull those things in, and I think it really helps cement understanding of some of the issues that candidates have to go through in the modules.
Fantastic. Thank you, Pat. And yes, I do remember your models. You shared your models with Nikki and myself. And when we were doing our new facilitator training, we actually brought up you, Pat, and your models and, discussed really how you can have innovation within your own teaching practice. And yes, it's like it's any other client and the level of professionalism. And it's a win-win, a win for the service that you provide your clients, your candidates, as well as a win for the efficiencies. So thanks. That was a trip down memory lane.
Yeah, my nerdy model building that I can't get away from.
I love it. Listen, to any accountants out there that don't plan vacations with an Excel spreadsheet, what do you do? Like, what are you doing? How, like, legit? Okay, so next up, Pat, can you please tell me a bit about your journey to obtain your CPA? And what about your post-designation professional journey? What does it look like now?
So the journey to the CPA was kind of funny because I went to university and knew I wanted to go into a business program and figured everything else would just kind of fall into place after that. And I felt a little bit like an outcast at points because there was so many people you meet in class, or I know exactly what I want to do. I'm going to do this, and this, and I don't know. I'm here to figure that out. Fortunately, fairly quickly took intro level accounting, intro finance, and found out that, yeah, that's probably some route I want to go down with those. So that obviously turned into an accounting major, and then going through CPAWSB, getting my CA. I did do the co-op program when I was at university, so I got some of that experience with a firm while I was a student. What I did learn fairly quickly, I think even while I was a co-op student, is audit maybe necessarily was not for me. So I went through it. There's so much good to learn. So I wouldn't change that experience at all. But as far as my post-designation experience, pretty much as soon as I got those letters, I was looking to move more to some of that finance work that I really enjoy and still do now. So that led me into the world of FP&A, financial planning and analysis. which involves a lot more forecasting, budgeting, valuations, a lot of making up numbers, I guess you could say, looking forward rather than in the rearview mirror. So did that for a number of years. And
Would you say that's creative accounting?
that's a term that sometimes has a negative connotation, but yeah.
Strategic accounting.
Strategic accounting.
Ah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. And yeah, strategic accounting and strategic finance. So yeah, after doing that, out in industry for a while, my wife and I got the crazy idea to quit our corporate jobs and do a bunch of traveling, which was kind of nice because we were facilitating for CPAWSB at the time. So we were traveling all over the place, facilitating. And that has really snowballed now into my current point in my post-designation professional journey, where I've got a handful of clients, everything from I'm the director of finance for a charity. I do a bunch of quasi investment banking work with a small kind of startup firm. Still work for CPA School of Business, of course. I do a bunch of data analytics work for CPA Canada, and I like to call it gambling. I have some friends building startups and stuff like that, and mostly help them out with some of the financial stuff in the hopes that one of those things is going to turn into something big. So it's kind of fun. It's exciting. It's but truly now I feel a bit like an entrepreneur masquerading as an accountant, or maybe the other way around. But yeah, it's really been nice. I was told early on when I started looking at accounting as a career that you'll find your place in it. You'll figure it out. We don't all have to go through and become partners in the audit practice of a firm. And so that might be a little bit more of an answer to your first question as well. If at first you don't feel like you're necessarily fitting that mold you think you need to as an accountant, there's so much variety out there, and if you keep looking and keep playing to your strengths and your interests, you can truly make it something that works for you and something that's customized to your own strengths, interests, and what you want in your career.
I love that answer, because we often discuss, you and myself, as well as us and other CPAs, how this designation is a choose your own adventure book of sorts. And you have one tool, but you can layer on other tools and experiences and really make this career impactful for you and for others. So thank you for sharing the different threads that really do make up your current career complement, which really do exemplify a number of different avenues and are all so cool and so neat. So thank you. How then did you come to work with CPAWSB?
So yeah, following getting my designation, sitting at my desk one day, I get this email that goes out every so often when new facilitator intakes happen, or at least opportunities to apply. So I was kind of like, well, this sounds interesting, both from a new revenue stream perspective, as well as it really seemed like a good opportunity to stay fresh on things that you otherwise, depending what you're doing day to day, a lot of those competencies you build while you're going through the program, if you don't keep doing things that involve those, they get a little rusty. So felt like a really good way to stay fresh as well. So went through the application process and wound up facilitating. I think my first module was Core 2. And this is starting to be years and years and years ago, so can't remember exactly. But then, I kind of got involved and then just started bouncing around between different modules. I think I've facilitated every single module at one point or another, with the exception of assurance. But over time, you find the ones that are really your niche. So the ones I make sure I never miss anymore are the capstone offerings. I love those because I get to do this kind of thing. I get to chat with people, which I really do enjoy doing. And I like that coaching aspect a lot. So Capstone 1 and the finance module, of course, because that's one of my nerdy favorite topics. So I try to get some finance modules in as well. And then so coming to work with CPAWSB, that was a lot of what led me to it. And then continuing with it, back in my last corporate role, I had a team of 5 or 6 that reported to me, where we covered a lot of different areas within the company. So a lot of the time I found stuff that I was doing facilitator wise helped me actually in coaching and guiding my team day to day at work. So it kind of has that positive kind of feedback loop where your work experience helps you in your facilitation, and likewise your facilitation helps you be a better manager and a better coach at work.
Yeah, I think you touched on a really great point there, Pat, that there are these overlaps that are almost like power-ups, these really nice boosts that work can help with your education and education opportunities, perhaps at CPA West, help you with the analytics side and understanding what you're analyzing at CPA Canada, and getting exposure to different things that you may not see day to day in your investment analysis or the startup world. But when you do, you're able to help connect the dots and tie the dots and bring them back to the candidates. So while your work complement right now, if we just saw it on paper really quick and didn't hear from you, it might be like, oh, how did that happen to be? But then hearing your story, it makes sense because it's attuned to your interests, but it's also like they have these synergies.
Yeah, absolutely. It's they really play off each other so well, and right to the point where Caitlin, my wife, she hears me saying these stupid analogies all the time, which some of the people I work with really like analogies. So they'll say certain ones and they stick with me. And then my favorite one that I use all the time now, for example, within my facilitating is, I think it's like an Abe Lincoln quote or something. Like, it's not that I'm an Abe Lincoln fan necessarily, but it really plays well to reading, outlining, planning your cases. And he said, if you need me to chop down a tree and you give me 4 hours, I'll spend the first 3 hours sharpening my axe. And I use that in terms of, trying to help show candidates how much your planning and outlining matters in your case approach. And it's just one of those things that it showed up somewhere in my work day to day, and then I brought it over to facilitating, and I've got so many of those now that I don't know, my candidates, maybe they like them, maybe they hate them, but they seem to stick in their mind at least. And yeah, so another good example of that kind of feedback between the two.
Nice. It's memorable.
Yeah, it sticks, right?
Absolutely. So following that, Pat, can you please tell me about a rewarding experience that you've had as a CPAWSB educator?
There's one last module where, and again, this plays into FP&A and my bias for finance, but I every now and then I get candidates who, I give them my bio at the start, as you do, and they take an interest, or they have some kind of desire in their own career where it leads them to start asking some of these questions. So mentioned FP&A, and one of my candidates was in a rotational role at their current job, and had the opportunity and the interest to move into an FP&A role for their next rotation. And they were really trying to figure out, is this right for me? And they thought they wanted to do it, but they weren't sure what the day-to-day is like. So really good chance to kind of open up just a little back and forth email conversation about, well, what's a usual day look like if you're in an FP&A team? What's a week look like, a month, a year? So it was really fun to kind of peel back some of the layers of the onion for them and share what it's like, and then see that they were really interested in it, and had the drive for it, and wound up going into it. And then near the end of the module, they'd only had a few weeks in that new rotation, but were really enjoying it, and were really, really expressing appreciation for how much depth of information I shared, so that they knew what they were getting into, and weren't, they weren't surprised at at what was kind of coming across their desk once they got into it, and it wasn't indeed as advertised. So it was really nice to be able to share my experience, my thoughts, and then have them find the value in it and move into that.
Yeah, our ability to connect and our ability to, have these little breadcrumbs and then have candidates pick up on that, engage. I can't think of a better kind of experience and to have it so recently. So kudos to you, and kudos to that candidate for, really seeking out the opportunity. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, it's well, it's nice when you have those chances to act as a little bit more of an informal mentor where you can. Obviously we can't be full-time teachers to our candidates, but those little opportunities to share a little bit more and provide a little bit more of just context for what surrounds this whole program, because it is geared to, introduce that next generation of CPAs to what they're going to do day to day in their careers. So chances to add more color, more context, I think are always so beneficial.
All right. So you have a lot of work stuff. You have a lot of, impactful education stuff. But when you're not teaching for the school, what might we find you doing?
Yeah, work-wise, staying overly busy with a multitude of clients and crazy ideas and things. But then, yeah, outside of that, a lot of activities with sports and just active endeavors. So playing men's league hockey in the winter, summertime, a ton of biking, hiking when I can. I especially like multi-day hikes when I can fit them in. They're a little tough to clear time for, because usually you're totally inaccessible for email and things like that. But if I can get at least one of those in every summer, I'm pretty happy. Got a dog that is, even though she's getting a little bit older, still annoyingly energetic. So lots of time taking the dog out down to the river and stuff like that, and travel when we find the time. So my wife and I just got back from a month in Scandinavia, which was awesome because got to combine some of that biking and hiking up there that we enjoy doing. So yeah, a lot of active endeavors when I'm not stuck at my desk.